Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Africa. You know we love the Big C tribe. We love them in Canada. But Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful June the 12th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, I heard from some of my farmer friends yesterday, and they said that Justify, the winner of the Triple Crown, had opened up a dating site. HorseDate.com. He said he was getting all kind of hits from things that he never even heard of.
That's funny. That's funny, Big Z. I'm sure he can justify all of that love he's about to get, and there's a happy atmosphere.
You know, he's going to have a happy ending on many occasions, okay?
That is too funny. I've seen a site called FarmersOnly.com, as if farmers only want to date other farmers, and I thought that was funny, the way people use, dating sites to meet people. How about, what happened to the days of just going out and meeting people, and you run in front of whoever you run in front of, and if there's chemistry, maybe you ask them to bring you some milk, or you ask them for coffee, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he's looking for chemistry, okay?
Yeah.
He's learned, he's a modern-day horse, when you think about it. He's a horse of the internet age and the Me Too generation and texting and Snapchat. And so he can filter through the fillies that he's going to be looking at, okay?
Yeah.
The blind date for horse days are over, okay? They can roll the pages in front of him. I don't know if he has a mouse that he's going to be moving, but I think if they paid you $600 million,
yes,
you can at least get a flunky.
I'll tell you, now I know why they put the blinders on the horse, so the horse can run straight down the track. Or what it is working. Maybe we got to put blinders on people. I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So Big C, obviously, on that date thing, we're going to talk about some champions. Like, who are the champions in your lives? Golden State celebrated a beautiful championship day in the Bay Area. Big C, you actually had a lot of the players like Steph Curry and, Swaggy P and all them good old boys, Iguodala, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant. They were all having a good time, and especially Curry. He went into the stands. They had it all barricaded off. That good old boy, he's worth $200 million. But he went out among the people like Jesus Christ went among the people. Jesus went around the people. And he went among the people celebrating, high-fiving, letting everybody know we appreciate you. There's so much love going around in the sports universe. I think they had the similar thing happen also in Washington, D.C. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's true. You had, East and West Coast parades going on. I mean, the Warriors with their back-to-back celebration there in the Bay Area, with the fans celebrating. And what you mentioned about Steph Curry stepping into the crowd.
Yeah.
You have to understand that players don't have a faux pas against the fans. Okay? They know that that's what allows them to exude their greatness.
Yeah.
That they stand behind him regardless, Charlton. And when you think about Oracle Arena in Game 4 of the NBA championship race, Charlton, it was a packed house that night.
Yeah.
The game was being played in Cleveland, but there was a packed house.
That's right.
At Oracle.
That's
the
right.
Fans paid for entrance to go into this arena. The concession people, the security people, earn money.
Yeah.
Think about this. When you think about how sports teams affect communities, they were playing in Cleveland, but all the work personnel that work at Oracle during a game, parking lot attendants, ushers, concessionaires, all of those people were able to earn income because of their love for the Warriors and the love going backwards, Charlton. The appreciation from both sides. So when you talk about the depth of a professional organization to a community.
Yes.
And what does it mean? We, as broadcasters and analysts and all of that, we talk about the game. But I think you and I talk more about the social impact.
Real talk.
That teams have on communities. And people don't understand that because they're not seeing it. They watch a game on television, they focus on the players. But there's a support cast that has a game that goes off. I mean, the first thing you see when they call a timeout or the stoppage of play on a basketball game, you see all these little sweepers that run out on the floor.
Yeah.
People that are employed to keep the floor dry and safe for the players, Charlton.
Yep.
There is a trickle effect in an arena with an organization, Charlton, that supports a lot of people. So that's why the appreciation of Steph Curry stepping into the crowd. Because you're reaching out to those people that are not recognized by the media.
Yeah.
But they're appreciated by the fans, Charlton. I had the luxury of being in Championship Parade. The first one was the greatest feeling that you could ever imagine, Charlton. But you got between 3/4 and 1 million people appreciating you as an individual and as a team player, Charlton, for what you've brought to that city, that whether they've been in a drought or whether they've been a consistent championship, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's that sense of pride that you had. When people want to know what it's like to be a professional athlete, and they wonder why when they see players win championships and they cry.
Yeah.
For the layman person, let me attribute it to you. When you had your first child, you cried.
Yep.
That's what a championship feels like, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime event for many players. And it's an event that does not occur for most players.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, the difficulty in winning a championship, we just witnessed this NBA championship. There are 30 NBA teams. And you think about it, over the last 4 seasons, Charlton, 28 of those teams did not participate in the NBA Finals.
Wow.
And there are some careers that have ended during that time, Charlton, that never got a chance to have an opportunity to win an NBA title.
Yeah.
So when you think about some of the greatest players of all time, and you go back over the last several years of the champions in the NBA, we have the Warriors, we have the Cavaliers, we have the Heat, we have the Spurs, Charlton. When you start looking down the list, think about how long ago it was when the Dallas Mavericks won their championship.
Long time.
They have not been back, Charlton.
No.
And they beat the Heat.
Yep.
It's been a long time, and they have not been back. That was the only time, Charlton, that Dirk Nowitzki, one of the NBA all-time greats, had a chance to hoist the trophy.
That's amazing.
And you think about the number of teams that are in between that run, Charlton, of those teams that I just mentioned, having an opportunity to win a championship. And so that's why there's no mystery to the jubilation that a player, when he hoists his championship trophy, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, soccer, whatever they're hoisting, Charlton, because they know if it's the first time, it's like having your first child, Charlton. That's something that you cherish forever. You never forget that moment's look or feeling, and it just takes any machoism that you have as a man away from you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. When you think about all the times that, if you look at young people, what do young people really have to look forward to? Do they only have to look forward to the fact that some person on TV that they've never even seen is happy that they have millions of dollars in the bank, that they've won a championship, or that they've done something that's going to be hard to accomplish by other people? And the great thing about what you just said is I see people that don't get the chance to go to NBA games because the tickets are too expensive. But when I see someone like Curry and Iguodala or Swaggy P or anybody, Bell, who's a young kid from Oregon, JaVale McGee, these people walking around downtown Oakland. Remember, Oakland has been maligned as a city. But when you see the diversity of humanity celebrating a championship. I see young kids that are there looking up to these players. And you know, there's a guy that did some of the moderation on Comcast on NBC Sports Bay Area named Greg Papa. I remember when I was a spotter for Greg Papa, some of the games he would do when he cut his teeth in the broadcast booth down at Stanford University doing Stanford Cardinals football games. And I think it was Sports Channel Bay Area back in the day. And now he's a Raider commentator. He calls all the Raider games on radio. And I think about all of these young kids. Big C, that's something you always talk about. And that's part of what we do at Big C Sports. It's not to ogle over athletes. It's not to say, oh my God, this is the best guy I've ever seen in the world doing what he does. It's about those young kids that can look up and you might ignite a spark in them. A spark that says you can be somebody, you can achieve. It's easier when you have a team attitude and atmosphere than it is doing it on your own. So who's on your team? I want you to speak to why championships can ignite the hopes in young kids all over the universe. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's good to see a championship, but there needs to be more than just a championship that ignites the hopes of the children all over the university. When you look at that diaspora of the crowd that you saw in Oakland and in the Bay Area there today, Charlton, look at the numbers. Look at the mass that was there. Look at the limited number of players, Charlton.
Yeah.
So to aspire to be one of those players have to let the youth of America aspire to be something else.
Yes.
You know, it would be great if you could follow in my footsteps, but there's an easier path in other footsteps.
Yes.
Because the dynamics of being a professional athlete, the chances of being one, Charlton, are one in one of those members of that crowd. When you look at it, there had to be at least 1 million people there in the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah.
There were 15 basketball players. Look at the ratio, Charlton. 15 basketball players, over 1 million people in the crowd.
Yeah.
The chances of you joining that parade from the player perspective, that is the percentage that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So the chances of you being the person that can organize that parade, being a civic leader, being a doctor, a lawyer, was much greater than the opportunity of you being an athlete. Yeah. And I hope that when the young people of America look at these athletes and say, wow, what an opportunity, what a great thing to be. But also be intelligent enough to understand statistics and percentages.
Yes.
That my chance, and even if I do become a professional athlete, look at this roster on the Golden State roster. How many of those players have been to all 4 of those championships, John?
That's a good point.
How many of these players are in their first run? I know at least 3 of them.
Yes.
That were in their first run this year. That's Pete, Bell, and Young.
Yeah.
You know, these players, Charlton, this is their first opportunity. It's been 4 consecutive runs. So when you look at those players, Charlton, that were on their first year on the Golden State Warriors this season, Charlton.
Yeah.
There were 3 other players that didn't make that run this year, Charlton.
You know, that's interesting.
They were on the roster before. Actually, there was 4 of them, Charlton, because they had another kid out of UCLA that was there.
Yeah.
So they had 4 players that I'm aware of that got playing time in this championship run. They were not a part of the team last season.
Yeah.
So those 4 players that are no longer a part of that organization, are they still employed in the NBA? This is the question you have to ask. But you know that 4 people lost their job.
Yeah.
And if those 4 people lost their job, somebody else took the place. They did not create 4 new jobs in the NBA.
No.
For those players that lost their job. So this is what I want young people to understand about professional athletics. When you look there and you see those guys who have achieved the pinnacle,
yes,
who hoist the trophy, that in a couple of months will be showing off that big bling ring that they have.
Yep.
Remember that that's a short-lived fantasy career. Like I said, those 4 players that hoisted that trophy last year and received those rings that were not a part of the Warriors this year, that's how quickly careers end, Charlton.
You know, that's a very good point. They were spraying vibranium all over the place. They said they had like 400 bottles of some type of champagne, and they were spraying it on everybody like they were spraying out vibranium to the universe, Big C, in it. It makes young people appreciate. I think Swaggy P said something as they were doing some of the broadcast and watching it later. He talked about in Los Angeles, you're so reminded in LA of the Lakers in their championship seasons and how they were going after a three-peat under Pat Riley and Kareem and Magic and them good old boys down south. And he said something that I think is so important. Young people, it's one thing to say you grew up to be a doctor or a lawyer or, a dentist or a carpenter or whatever, school teacher. Everything is admirable. But how many people have 1 million people turn out to see you go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer or a carpenter or a real estate broker? How many people go to school and turn out 1 million people to see you celebrate and walk down the aisle? And that's something that a lot of people, when you think about the young people, and this is why we say sports will bridge our society together, but you got to tell people the truth. I love the fact that almost every young person, think about this, Big C, almost every young person had a cell phone in their hand. You know how we tell people to Google it? They can Google anything. That means they don't have to wait to get home to have some mainstream corporation tell them what they saw or what's important to them. They're taking pictures. I bring that up because of this. As we ask young people to do real talk, I think that parade today is as real as Big C Sports is. We're not scripted. We speak extemporaneously. We don't have teleprompters. No producer telling us how to feel, what we saw, what we thought. And you saw like a concert when Steph Curry got off of that bus and he went down into the crowd. You talked about Jesus, how he went among the people, teaching, not preaching, but teaching. To touch those people, not that they worship any person, but they got to see someone who's just like them. He wasn't standing behind a partition with some earplug in his ear telling them what to say to the crowd, telling them you got 20 seconds, okay, 10 seconds, okay, 5 seconds, okay, cut, go to commercial. It was real. Just like you go to BigCDate.com, it's real. You meet real people. With that horse, Justified.com, when you meet those horses, it's real love, Big C. Is that what Justify, his dating site? Justify has a dating site called Real Love. It's real. And I just want to get your thoughts on this. When I see the young people, and they're all walking around with a cell phone in their hand. I mean kids that are as young as 10, 15. People as old as 75, 85, 90 got a cell phone, taking selfies with the players behind them. It making them feel like they're part of that. I think telling these young kids to Google everything, math, science, history, business, I think they got it, Big C. And that parade was not scripted. I applaud you for saying let's do our show, but non-scripted. Don't ever be non-scripted when you celebrate how much you love something, whether you're making love to someone, whether you're loving that your child is born into the air, whether you're saying I do at the altar. Speak from the heart, and those kids were taking selfies from the heart saying, can I get your autograph? Can I get your picture? Big C, it spoke to my spirit, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, in that reality, Google, that I want young people to understand, it's a fantasy land also that you're living in today. This is just a moment in time. This is a parade of success, of achievement. It's not a parade of lifetime. It's not a parade of where your life is going to be every day.
Amen.
Because it's full of pitfalls. Now, when we look at these parades and celebrations, you think about the two most storied NBA franchises, the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yeah.
When you look at those two teams, Charlton, neither one of those organizations have a player other than Kyrie Irving, and that came via trade, that has played in a championship with either one of those organizations, Charlton.
Wow.
You think about that. When you want to talk about the opportunity and chances, if not for Kyrie Irving's trade to Boston this past offseason, neither one of those organizations have a player with any championship pedigree, Charlton.
Wow.
So this is what I mean by, yes, we have these parades of celebration. You have the young people soaking it in and basking in the sunshine, in jubilation with the players. But the reality of what I want young people to understand, I was very fortunate to be a professional athlete for several years.
Yes.
And I'm appreciative every day. And I'm unappreciative also in the same light.
What do you mean?
Because I know what it does for your life.
Yes.
But I know what it does to your body.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what young people need to understand. Even on the basketball court, when you see elderly basketball players, if you saw Bill Russell stand at the presentation of the championship trophy, Bill Russell was not standing. Bill Russell was leaning against the table.
Yep.
He has to walk with the assistance of a cane because of the torture that his legs took over the years. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most humongous individuals you'll ever see, has had multiple feet surgeries, Achilles surgery, knee surgery. And in 10, 15 years, he will need a walking device.
Yeah.
So when you think about these athletes, and you don't reach the pinnacle. I mean, we go back and look at Gordon Hayward's gruesome injury 2 minutes into the season with the Boston Celtics, where he destroyed his ankle.
Yeah.
That could have easily ended his career. Fortunately enough, professional organizations have some of the greatest doctors in the world.
Oh, they
especially orthopedics.
Yeah.
Okay? And they don't have to wait in line waiting on the Affordable Care Act or any other doctor.
No.
They have their own team doctors, Charlton, that they can take care of that situation within hours if needed, okay?
Yeah.
They don't have to wait 2 or 3 days trying to get into the hospital and, checking on their insurance and seeing who's your coverage and what's not coverage. Professional teams take care of their property.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm trying, and the point that I want to make to young people, the celebration is great. The championship is great. But the life of the players that don't make it, this is what I want you to recognize. Well, when you sit there and you look at the Golden State Warriors, the draft will be next Thursday, okay?
Yeah.
They have 2 draft picks. Think about it. They can draft 2 players. They can draft 1 player if they choose to keep their first-round draft pick. He would be guaranteed a roster spot. So right now there's 15 guys on the roster, Charlton.
Yeah.
The minute they make a draft pick, one of those guys become unemployed.
They sure do.
Period. Just automatically. Then they have the second-round draft pick. They have the option to keep him or farm him out elsewhere.
Yeah.
So this is what you need to understand. When you look at all the young players out there in this junior basketball, in this AAU basketball, and this high school basketball, let's go to junior colleges. We have those out there also.
Yeah.
As well as NAIA, Division II, Division III, Division I basketball. So you got to figure, even after you get out of high school, there are 500 teams in the U.S. that are playing basketball on all these different college levels. There are 500 of them.
Yeah.
There are 750 players in the NBA. Each one of those teams, Charlton, has 15 players.
Yeah.
So what my word is to the youth of America, do you value having a professional career or do you value having a professional mind? I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from chasing or living their dream.
Yes.
But I want everybody to understand and chase what reality is.
Yeah.
If you open up your fridge and you've already poured your cereal in a bowl and there's no milk in the fridge, you have to figure out options.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
It's not straightforward that you're going to eat that bowl of cereal now. You're looking at options. That's what I'm saying about the chance of you becoming a professional athlete. You have to look at options that you can explore in life. Because you say, okay, I'm going to play in the NBA. I'm going to play in the NFL. I'm going to play Major League Baseball. I'm going to play professional soccer. Sit down and see how many jobs are available in those leagues. Period.
Good point, Big
Then
C.
take another step back. Say, okay, now where do they get their players from?
Yes.
Oh, they get them from college. Okay, there's 500 colleges playing basketball. We're talking junior college and all these 4-year colleges.
And Europe.
We're talking just the U.S.
Yeah.
We're talking to the U.S. kids. Well, I understand we got worldwide listenership, but I'm talking to the U.S. kids because they were the ones who were at the parade today.
Yes.
Look at what your competition is. And you can say, I'm better than everybody. But are you the best player on the team that you're playing on? Think about that. Are you the best player on the team that you're playing on? That's what I'm trying to get you to understand about the reality and the opportunity. But you can also ask yourself this question. Are you the most intelligent kid on your team? Do you have the highest GPA? That lets you know which opportunity may present the best one for you. If you're sitting there and you're a middle-of-the-road basketball player, you have a 3.5 or above GPA, you should secure academics. Look at that, because that's a lifelong career.
That's a good point.
We heard Kevin Durant saying that, I think I want to retire at 35.
Yes.
I want to go into another career. He said another career. He didn't say that I just want to quit. He said, I've been a student of this game long enough. Now I need to graduate to something else.
Yeah.
This is what he said. He said, graduate to something else. He's made a copious amount of money that he never has to play a basketball game again the rest of his life. He never has to get up off the sofa. He can just tell Google to Google everything for him and get it done.
That's funny how they're doing that commercial.
What it is, Charlton,
yes,
is that he says he needs to graduate to something else.
Yeah.
As an adult, that he's looking forward to something to do after his playing days over. He's not saying that this is it for me.
That's
so think about the player who may have gotten invited to a training camp or summer league or something like that.
Yes.
And didn't make it. What are his options? Because think about this, Charlton. Every NBA team has a summer league team in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay? Each one of those teams have between 15 and 20 players on that summer league team. We're not talking about the active roster. We're talking about their summer league team.
Yeah.
Rookies, free agents, G League team players that they've invited to the summer league. So this is what I want players to understand, and I want fans and young people to understand. Education. Because every time a player gets drafted in the NBA,
yes,
someone loses their job.
That's a very good point.
That's the number one thing in your mind. When someone gets drafted, someone loses their job.
That's a very good point, Big C. And I want to compliment Gary St. Jean and also Greg Papa. They were talking about it on the NBC Sports station that carried the parade when they were bringing players up and they were chronicling what the players did for the team. They also talked about some of the work when they don't have the jersey on, like how many guys are involved in business. Isn't that what Big C Sports has been saying all the main stations should do? The mothership or anybody. And so they took the time to educate that Bay Area audience. I'm not saying they got it from us. I'm just saying I've worked with a lot of those people over the years in an ancillary role. But we've been talking like that for a long time. And not only do they run down someone's height, their size, how big and strong, they were saying this is what this guy's doing when he's not playing basketball. He's investing in real estate. He's investing in business. He owns this kind of business, that kind of business. You know, Klay Thompson travels across seas. I think he goes over to China. And he has foundations and he works with the youth over there. There was a story about a Chinese news reporter that when they came down to voting for MVP, that she had chosen Durant over Curry. And because Curry is so huge in China, there are a lot of people that were upset at her from the other side of the world. What does that mean? She's in the media. She doesn't play basketball, but she covers it. She does it for a living. And so just for the young people, when we see our mainstream, and I think they're going to start doing, they've been stealing everything else, Big C. They're going to start stealing this too. They're going to get smart and realize that young kids, they Google, and they don't like being fed dumb news. They can Google the score on their own. They want to know, tell me about this person. What's their biography? Give me their bio. No, not just on the court, but what is their bio off the court, Big C? And I think when you see someone that's copying that, and I realize they don't have to, but they're doing what we've been doing because they're starting to get real. And I just got a message to all of our mainstream people too. You got to realize that nobody's buying vinyl records anymore. And you can watch show after show after show after show. There's nothing different from the first show in the morning to the last show at night. It's everybody reading something They're not doing what Steph Curry did. They're not doing what Durant did, Swaggy P, JaVale McGee. They got into the audience. They went among the people. They high-fived with the people, Big C. They got right there where the people could say something. They did it unscripted. And it was so real, it drew over 1 million people. Now, when television starts doing that, then it'll be real sports talk. Big C's been doing it 3 years, so I know other people are going to follow. Because if you're a producer, here's a little advice. Watch the parade. Watch the parade and watch. And for you advertisers that need to start paying attention to how you reach them through Big C Sports. Because we get among the people. We're not sitting up in some cold studio with 70-degree air condition. We go out among the people, and you feel the people just like Beyonce and Jay-Z starting their concert out here on the West Coast. They're out there among the people, Big C. They can interact. The great Prince used to do the same thing. So that's what I love. And I'm not telling them what to do. They do what they want to do. They think some people are still looking for that vinyl record. And maybe there are some. But for the advertisers, when you're pumping millions of dollars into a program and you're feeding the people dead news, as Trump calls it, fake news, Big C. I think it's fake news because it's not among the people. It's not real. And when I see these young kids that are not even in high school Googling things on their cell phones, that tells the advertisers where your money should be. Your money should be among the people, not up in some cold studio reading telephone scripts and teleprompters. And I saw it firsthand, and I know a lot of the Warriors follow Big C Sports because a lot of them talk about Google this and Google that, and I know people that know. So it's not about saying people follow whatever. I just know they do, and I get that knowledge. But the fact is, Big C, they became like Big C Sports today. They didn't sit up in a studio reading teleprompters, telling the fans what they think the fans want to hear. For you sponsors and advertisers that pump $1 million into some program, and it's dead programming. It's just read to somebody from a script. And Golden State showed that. Big C, is that making any sense, Big C? Your thoughts?
Jonathan, it makes all the sense in the world when you sit there and you look at the ebb and flow of people, where they are. You know, it's just like if you go across the country and you look at the city of Washington, D.C. today, Charlton.
Yeah.
Which had its largest parade since 2013 in the city. That was the last Obama parade.
Yep.
This is the first championship parade, Charlton, they've had in that city since 1992. You think about the rich, illustrious history of that city. 40 years ago, they had a basketball parade for the Washington Bullets. 1992 was the last championship parade that they had. The Washington Redskins, under Joe Gibbs as the head coach, led by Mark Rippon, the quarterback out of Washington State, was the Redskins' last Super Bowl championship, Charlton. And this city came out because it's a city that is of appreciation just like the Bay Area, Charlton. They're used to having champions paraded down Capitol Avenue, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they haven't had a champion in this city, Charlton, in a year and a half of any type, okay? So this is their first championship. Even though the Russians led the parade, you got to understand, they keep trickling into Washington some kind of way, but the Russians led the parade today for the Capitol.
Yeah.
But Charlton, it was just a great sight. You know, one of the tremendous things about the Stanley Cup is that every player gets to spend a day with the Stanley Cup in their life. They get to keep it for that 24-hour session. Even though Ovechkin haven't let it go for 5 days now, and so they might have to have him sterilized after he's done with it.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to kiss it after what he was doing. They found it in his bed.
We know he took it to bed with him and made his wife watch, so I'm not too sure about the sanity of that cup nowadays.
Yeah, he did the Giuliani with that cup. He said he wanted to be, what did he do with the cup? He wanted on his knees begging. Is that what he did with that cup, like Giuliani? He had that cup on his knees begging, Biggsy. I thought that was funny. I do want to say that sports is a $1 billion industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this $1 billion industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. So again, congratulations to the Golden State Warriors and their interaction with the fans of the Bay Area. There were people that came from all over Northern California, as far south as Fresno, as far north as Lake Tahoe, the Sacramento Valley, of course the East Bay, and San Francisco. So they came together to celebrate a champion. And even though LeBron James, his son, is enrolled in school in Los Angeles, I think his son's going to play on the same team. I think they're called Sierra Canyon. They won the state championship in California last year. Scottie Pippen's son is on there. Also a couple other NBA athletes, their sons play for that school. So whether he comes to LA or not, there's a lot of writing on the wall, whether it's the Lakers or Clippers. But it doesn't matter, because the championship will still go through Golden State. And that's a fact. The fact that there's so many people that say, how do you take down a champion? You got to build a championship team that can match them one-on-one. And to hear the Golden State Warriors talk about they want to build a legacy. They want to do it again. They have one more year at the Oracle Arena before they go across the bay where they came from and play at the new Chase Center on the Embarcadero. Gorgeous arena about 4 blocks south of AT&T Ballpark, the home of the San Francisco Giants. It's gorgeous. It's right there on the water. You could take your boat. Big C, you could take your boat and go up to the new Chase Center. I don't know if they let you in with all that dirt on it, but that's okay. The Bay would wash the dirt off. Did that make any sense, Big C? The Bay can wash the dirt off that boat you got, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they might, wash the dirt off and find Julio Jones, earrings stuck in some of the dirt up on the boat, so it would pay for the wash.
Yeah, that's funny, Big C. So I think that's incredible, though. Just a great atmosphere. I wanna get your thoughts. Some of the amazing sports figures over the years. Like the Bay Area has its championship pedigree, from the Raiders to the A's, Golden State. That's the Bay Area. And then there's the 49ers and their championships. The San Jose Sharks have yet to do it, but the Giants have done it. But all of those other teams, the Raider fans are primarily Raider fans. Niner fans, primarily Niner fans. If you're an A's fan, you're primarily A's fan. Giants, primarily Giants. All 7 million people in the Bay Area, they love the Warriors. And the Warriors paid homage to some of their past players, from Mullen, when they had Nelson, Adams doing his thing, Barry. They had some of the old jerseys on with their new numbers on them. And I think that's incredible to pay homage to the organization, because it wasn't about the players, it was about the city and their fan base. When I look at what championships mean, if you look at New England, obviously they have the Patriots, they have the Celtics. The Bay Area has the 49ers, the Raiders, the Warriors, the A's, the Giants. Look at Pittsburgh, they have the Bruins, they have the Steelers. Dallas has the Cowboys and the Mavericks. The Giants have a plethora of champions, from the Jets and the Giants. And then their hockey teams. Big C, your thoughts, the Yankees, the Mets, all of them. What does it mean around the world to those fan bases in those cities? What does it actually do to be a champion, Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, it's very uplifting for a region to hoist a championship trophy, to have the fanfare that follows, because depending on the region that you're in, Charlton, when you talk about the metropolitan New York area, Charlton, those are some of the most intelligent sports fans in the world. When you think about the number of championships that have been represented in that city throughout all the major sports, Charlton.
Yeah.
Only the Brooklyn Nets have not won a major title in that city, Charlton. When you think about the teams, the Mets, the Giants,
the Knicks,
the Yankees, the Islanders, the Rangers, all of these teams, Charlton, the Knicks, that have represented championships in their leagues, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when you have a metropolitan area like that, and you're separated by the boroughs, people live their life about their team. They don't cross the lines. A Mets fan is not a Yankees fan, Charlton, even though it's New York. A Giants fan is not a Jets fan, Charlton, even though they play in the same stadium. It's a big difference between Long Island and the Garden with the Islanders and the Rangers, Charlton. It's a whole different diaspora of people. But these people's lifeblood throughout their history, their grandparents, their parents, their children, they all sit up and talk the same language, Charlton, of the appreciation of the history of the organizations that they believe in. Whether you've won recently or haven't won in years, Charlton, decades. Think about the Jets, 69, a long time, Charlton. They're coming up on 50 years, of not having been to the Super Bowl. But they still resonate that 69 Super Bowl, that magical year when they beat the unbeatable Colts that were coached by Don Shula. Prior to him going to the Miami Dolphins and starting his legacy with Eubank at the head of the New York Jets, Charlton. But, these organizations hang around. You think about Red Auerbach when he was the coach of the New York Knicks. He's still the legendary coach of that city, even though you've had Pat Riley there, Charlton. You've had Phil Jackson there, and amongst other coaches, Charlton. It still goes back to him, Van Gundy. It still goes back to Red Auerbach and those great New York Knicks teams of the late 60s and early 70s. These people believe in what they believe in, Charlton. They hold on to it. It's a lifelong jewel for them. It's the fabric of their lives. And when you present your community with a championship, Charlton, you think about some of the fans, and when we saw the Big C World Series a couple of years ago, of Cleveland fans, of Cub fans, that were in their 90s, that never thought that they would have an opportunity to see their team in the World Series, let's not win a World Series, Charlton. We had some Cub fans that had exceeded 100 years of age. And they said it was the greatest day of their life, Charlton. That they had a chance to live to see the Cubbies win a World Series, Charlton. These are lifelong admirations, and that's how I compare that. When I talk about when you say that the youth should aspire to be a professional athlete, look at these fans who labor through life, who work their mundane jobs every day, Charlton, with the aspirations of seeing their team. The player it's not the individual player, Charlton, that they look at. It's the team that they look at. They understand the concept of that, Charlton, working together. That the team is as good as the whole of the sum. And so when those fans are there and they're rooting for the team, yes, they are favorites. But they know without that team atmosphere and that team cohesiveness, you do not win. You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, Charlton. They are a team, but they're not as cohesive as a team as the Golden State Warriors. When you look at the dynamics of that team, there is so much put on one individual. And I think even more so from the media than what his teammates have done. But he, as an individual, Charlton, he's human. And he listens to what everyone says. You can say that you block it out, but you can't. We all have this hearing apparatus called ears that, touch the lives. And so he hears this stuff every day. It's like right now. When you look at what's going on in the world of sports, you got the U.S. Open coming up, Charlton, in golf. You got the NBA draft coming up next Thursday. You got the OTAs going on in football, the mini camps. You have Major League Baseball. You got the World Cup and soccer starting next week. What is the biggest story in sports? Where's LeBron going? Why does that dominate? Does it mean that the sports stations are limited in the content that they can discuss?
They are.
We just had a world championship boxing match over the weekend. The unification of 3 titles, something. And we're talking about where's LeBron going, and that doesn't happen until July 1st, Charlton. So is everybody trying to get the jump on that? But free agency is July 1st. We have NFL mini camps. We have Andrew Luck tried to throw a football for the first time in a year and a half today. And the biggest talk is LeBron. We got Julio Jones holding out in the Falcons camp because he wants more money because Matt Ryan got $155 million. Talk is LeBron. LeBron has moved the meter on the sports world. But what I hate about the talk about LeBron is that they only talk about LeBron as an athlete. They don't talk about LeBron as a social activist. They don't talk about LeBron as a businessman. They don't talk about LeBron as being the most important polarizing sports figure in America over the last decade. They only talk about LeBron going to a basketball team. Talk about LeBron's off-the-court dynamics. That's what I want the world to know about LeBron. the scholarship foundation that he has, where he sends hundreds of kids to school, to college every year. The academy, the education academy that he has set up, Charlton, for young inner city kids to better their opportunities for education and ongoing in life, Charlton. All the foundations that he has set up to help the youth of the greater Cleveland area, Charlton, and even around America. Let's talk about that dynamic of LeBron James. We all know that he can play basketball. He's been the chosen one since he was 12, okay? Let's talk about how he has uplifted lives, not how he's risen above the rim. Let's talk about how he's uplifted lives in America and made solid minority citizens in America and helped their lives expand to greatness, Charlton. That's what I want to hear about LeBron. Don't tell me what team he's going to. Tell America how Team LeBron has enhanced America.
I think that's so powerful, Big C. I think it back to the days of any athlete, and you think about what athlete is going to make a difference in their lives. And we ask other people, like, who is your champion? Like, who's your team? You know, we teach kids, you know, it's okay to love God. It's okay to say, I love God, that I pray. It's okay to say that. And there's a lot of programs, mainstream, whatever principalities on them, they say, we don't want to talk about religion, but they want you to stand and praise the flag. But how about standing and praising Jesus? There's a lot of black families that grow up raising young kids in order to make it through life and to be strong. They say, have a faith in God, but work as if it depends on you. It's okay to tell kids that's okay. You know, it's okay to say Steph Curry's a Christian, not to worship any man or woman, because society builds you up to tear you down. But it's okay to say I love God. It's okay to say that. And when you have what we are trying to bring to the universe, to the sports universe, it's not to worship us or athletes, but to find a way to say what's important to that young kid. Reading, writing, learning. It's okay that you're not where you want to be yet. You can build that yellow brick road to get there like the Wizard of Oz. And that's what I love about that, Big C. So everybody has a champion. Mine's my parents and praying to God. I mean, I love having that Citadel as a place of refuge. I want to get your thoughts on something because I heard it on NBC Sports Bay Area today when I heard Gary St. Jean and Greg Papa. They were talking about what these players do when they're not playing for the Warriors. When I say, who's your favorite boxer? A lot of people say Ali. Why was it Ali? Money Mayweather has a better record than Ali. I'll tell you my thoughts and I get your thoughts. The reason Ali was my favorite champion is he wasn't a sycophant and he just didn't talk about, I'm the greatest in the ring. He was an entrepreneur. He went among the people like Steph Curry did today. He was speaking off script. He spoke with a boldness that you could Google. And it was so real and raw and authentic. The U.S. government locked him up. He still got out and became the champion because he spoke the truth. Just like women and men getting into relationships. You're on findadate.com or that horse Justified. Is it justified.com? Looking for love in the horse universe? He looking for love in the horse universe. Deal with somebody who's real, who tells you their pain as well as their joy. Life's not always easy, but it is possible when you have a good team of support. That's why I love Ali. He didn't leave his brilliance inside the ring. He spoke about it outside of the ring. That's what inspires me on Big C Sports. Big C, your thoughts?
What Ali did, Charlton, was he stepped across the line. When his people were being beat down in America, when they did not have the rights of American citizens, they could not vote. They could not sit down at lunch counters, Charlton. What he did was step forward to say, I will carry the torch, just like he did in the 96 Olympics. Follow me. That what they are talking about is materialistic. I will let them know they can have all of my materialistic life, but they can't take my life. Not that easy. I will speak up for you. This is what Ali did. And so this is what I'm always talking about young athletes. Learn how to speak. Learn how to articulate. Get an education. Ali had a craft that propelled him to the top of the world. But he also had something beyond that craft that propelled him even further. Into greatness, into society, to become an activist. His mouth allowed him to show the world that he was an intelligent, sane, and civil man of peace. Not of violence. Not the stereotypical that they were plastering minorities with at that time. He made society gravitate to him, not off his boxing skills, but about his intelligence,
Yeah.
how he was willing to stand up and challenge. He said, take the boxing.
Yes.
If you think that boxing is the man, then it will cost you also.
Yeah.
And that's what it did. He walked away from something that not he wanted, but mainstream society wanted.
Yeah.
They wanted him as champ. They needed him as champ for financial reasons.
Yes.
And when he walked away, he said, no, I'm not giving it to you that easy. They lost. Look at the economics of the boxing world when Ali was non-existent, when he was in exile for 3 years.
Yes.
They took a huge financial hit. The reason why his conviction was overturned wasn't because America loved him. He was still the same individual.
Yeah.
They knew they had convicted him wrongly.
Yep.
But it became financial. The people of finance moved the needle to get his boxing license reinstated, Charles.
Yes.
It wasn't because of love. It was because of the power that he possessed it. And he also, the dynamics of what he had did outside the ring, as far as speaking, making public appearances, traveling around, Charles, made him even more desirable financially.
Yeah.
So, but his intelligence got it to that point. When you look at athletes today, Charlton, and you see the endorsements that they have,
yes,
and they get a chance to speak on television. We've heard other networks say they should just shut up and dribble, dumb jocks and all that. What do they know about politics? What do they know about finance?
Yep.
Think about it. They've surrounded themselves with the right people to help them create even more and more finance.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that, bothers me. It's like down here in our area, they're talking about Julio Jones holding out because he wants more money. He wants his contract renegotiated.
Yes.
And people are saying that he's selfish. The team renegotiated Matt Ryan's contract, and he still had time on his contract.
Yep.
But they decided to give him more money. But they hold out on the receiver. And we see that all about the dynamics of the NFL. When you look at these huge contracts that these quarterbacks are getting, and then you look and see what $100 million quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl.
Google it.
You have to ask yourself that question. What $100 million quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl? They haven't. So people will say, well, Drew Brees, he's not a $100 million quarterback. He has a 2-year contract. Okay? Peyton Manning had a 2-year contract in Denver. He played on his option year and won a Super Bowl. He didn't win when he first got there. Russell Wilson got his contract after he won a Super Bowl. It was only $88 million.
Yep.
So I asked you this question. Derek Carr just got a contract 2 years ago, what, $125 million?
$125 million.
These quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford was the highest paid. But what quarterback that you pay $100 million to has won a Super Bowl? So I can understand the players, the minority players, Julio Jones and the others saying, I want to get paid. Odell Beckham, I want to get paid. These quarterbacks are not producing. But you willingly pay them, and you won't pay the minority guy that makes him great, the receiver and the running back that carries the load for him.
Yeah.
But you said, well, without this quarterback, we have nothing.
Yeah.
Look at the $100 million quarterbacks. Let me know which one has won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady makes $14 million a year, Charlton.
Yep.
Nick Foles last year for the Eagles came in at $7 million. $7 million.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't see the $100 million quarterback being worth it. But because of his complexion and the way he looks, you say you have to pay him because he's a franchise quarterback. That means he should be in the Super Bowl every year, or at least the championship game every year, and have you on the cusp of winning a championship.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl several years ago in Baltimore. Got a big contract right after.
Yeah.
Hasn't been back anywhere in the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when you start talking about paying these guys, they shut it down.
You know what's interesting about that, Big C? And I still go back to that Super Bowl. There was a player that ran the kickoff back out of the end zone, over 100 yards untouched. On the replay that they say is so important to the game, it shows someone right by the 50-yard line being surrounded and held by 3 different guys. There were 3 Ravens holding one 49er, and the play wasn't called back. And we saw it on replay, so that's why I know I saw it, because they showed the replay. They didn't go back and fix it. Because had a black man won the Super Bowl that year in Colin Kaepernick, they would have had to say how great he is. And we know that when Doug Wiggins won his, he didn't play again in 5 touchdowns in the first half. I mean, you can Google that too, because the NFL still wants a certain face. But I want to close with this. I want all the people all over the sports universe to look at Golden State Warriors and how they refused to go to the White House because they did not want to celebrate bigotry and sexual harassment and a man that brags about grabbing women by the vagina. Young girls, sues women that want to tell what happened, tries to discredit them. And we know there's a tape out there about to come out, but even when you hear the tape, you say, that's not my voice. But there's another tape. But I want people to understand, when you say you're afraid to stand up because you're going to lose your sponsorship to these secular corporations that don't want to talk about God, don't want to talk about doing the right thing, you think you're going to lose your sponsorship. Over 1 million people celebrated the Golden State Warriors, a team that stood on the side of righteousness. Not to preach, but don't stand next to someone who's sexually assaulting women and has racial anathema for people of color. I know you got a few people that don't read much and they come out on your side and pat you on the back and stand next to you for a photo op. That's always been there since history. Since 1619, there's always been those people. But Google, like these young kids with these phones in the Bay Area, they can Google that Golden State Warriors, when they talk to young women and men about not tolerating sexual assault and harassment, and they put their money where their mouth is. They didn't lose any sponsorship. They didn't lose any TV ratings. Their ratings were higher than NFL games. You know, the league that won't let their players express their First Amendment right. That league that Trump says fire the SOBs, and they actually want to punish their players, especially the one in Kaepernick, that had the same message that the Golden State Warriors had. Their ratings are off the charts. They've been celebrated by the universe for another championship. Nobody's told them we didn't want to come to your games. They're getting a new arena. And they've done the right thing. Big C, talk for a minute about doing the right thing is never punished. Not by righteous people, only by sycophants and media that doesn't want the truth to come out. I'm proud of them for standing up for their daughters, for their wives and mothers and grandparents, the ones that gave them a little burp on the back when they had that milk and they had to upchuck that milk. The grandparents were burping those babies on the back and rubbing them on the backside. Big C, they stood up for those women who don't have a voice. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, when we think about doing the right thing in America, I mean, Spike Lee did a movie, Do the Right Thing. It's about having social consciousness. That's what doing the right thing is in America. You know, but we also have to do that through intelligence. That's where that social consciousness comes from, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when we strive together as a common goal without separation and without fighting the wrong causes, Charlton, that's why I stress so much on education. I mean, I love sports. Sports allowed me to get to a great place in life.
Yes.
But without education, the sports was meaningless, Charlton, because I wouldn't have learned anything. I wouldn't have been able to grasp the plays on the field, Charlton, to break things down. The intelligence from education allowed me to get to that point. And so when I see youth today, Charlton, that get away from the family structure, saying that this is what I'm going to be, but they never talk about the educational aspect of getting there.
Yep.
I mean, it was beat into my head for years.
Yeah.
No, you're getting an education.
Yep.
I don't care how good an athlete you are. If you don't have the grades, you're not going to play.
Amen.
I heard that at home. Is that I'm a star. Yeah, but you're sitting this game out because you failed this test.
Yep.
You're not playing this week. What? You know, this was me. Look, you live in my house. These are my rules.
Yes.
You don't do good in school. You don't play sports.
Yep.
I don't care about the team. I care about you.
Yeah.
This is what I heard growing up. And so I want more parents to understand that when they talk about the social dynamics of life, care about your child more than your aspirations of this child becoming a professional athlete.
Yep.
Thinking that this child's going to become a professional athlete and your road is going to be gravy. Because what if that child gets injured? And everything that you invested in this child being your future, your 401k plan, is down the drains. I would love for every parent in America, and you can Google this. It actually exists. Google every college basketball team in the country. Look at their injury list, players that got injured. It's on there. It's on the college report. Look how many of those had a parent, at least one parent, okay, that had a 401k plan in their mind, that my child is going to be my future. And that child got injured. Their college career was over. I saw it in football. I saw it in basketball. I've seen it in baseball. It's happened in hockey also.
Yeah.
The mothership did a special on this kid who was one of the best hockey players in the country 3 years ago.
Yes.
Went head first into the board. He's one of the best players in college. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's a quadriplegic now.
Wow.
This happens. So stop thinking that you can take your kid and make him your 401k plan.
Amen to that.
Take that kid and make him your educational future.
That's so important.
Stress the education with your child. Sports is a great dynamic. It is a great team builder. It's a great social builder. It's a great character builder. But the education is the number one builder of America. When we see the stock market on television, they're not talking about the score of the football game. They're talking about the scores of the numbers that are going up financially.
Yep.
That's where money is made at.
Yeah.
We talk about an athlete getting a $100 million contract. You're talking about people on the stock market moving multiple $100 million contracts throughout the day.
Yeah.
They move money. You're talking about lawyers who represent people. Look how many lawyers the president has had to hire.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. They make a lot of money. And so when you think about it, his primary lawyer, Michael Cohen, getting paid millions of dollars, doing no work. You know, so when we look at what people make in the financial sector, you know, everybody's talked about LeBron James, about how much money that he's leaving on the table. He could get a $36 million max contract. LeBron James can get a $36 million max contract next year with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know who would write the check for that contract?
His owner.
Guy named Dan Gilbert.
Yep.
Dan Gilbert is worth more than $2 billion. Get it, folks.
Google
$2 billion. Dan Gilbert owns Quicken Loans. You've seen the commercials on television.
Yep.
Check your finance company. He may own the paper on your house. Okay?
Yeah.
Dan Gilbert. He
Yep.
owns the arena that the Cavaliers play in. Quicken's Loan Arena.
Yes.
Dan Gilbert's company has at least 1/5 of all the home loans in America.
Yep.
Think about that. 1/5 of the home loans in America, Dan Gilbert owns.
Yep.
So when people sit there and talk about, well, LeBron, you know, could get a $36 million max contract.
Yeah.
Dan Gilbert is worth over $2 billion from education, not playing basketball, not playing sports, because he probably can't even dribble. He owns a basketball team and probably can't even dribble.
Yep.
But he's worth $2 billion. Now, everybody saw after the Golden State Warriors won the championship, they had two of the owners up there.
Yes.
Looked like they hadn't picked up anything other than a tennis racket or a golf club, okay?
Or a pen to write a
They
check.
were not basketball players.
Nope.
So when they talk about owning the team, being proud, think about what they said. Own.
Yep.
They own the team. These are all their workers standing up there celebrating.
Yep.
That they were celebrating with. They were sitting in their courtside seat worth a couple of $1 billion each. Okay? No one, they're not worried about what they have to pay a player. They're worth billions.
Yeah.
So they can afford to pay the player who says, I aspire to be a professional athlete. And then we talked about Matt Ryan earlier, signing a $155 million contract with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
Arthur Blank, the owner of that team, he just built that Mercedes-Benz Dome down in Atlanta last year.
Yep.
He owns a soccer team called Atlanta United, the hottest soccer team in the U.S.
Yes.
So he wrote a $155 million check for Matt Ryan.
Yep.
At what point did he blink? Now think about it. He made all his money off of Home Depot.
Home Depot.
Who doesn't have a Home Depot in their neighborhood?
Yep.
Think about how much money you're giving this man as well as what he's making off sports, Chumper.
I think that's so important, and that's what I love about bringing that to the sports universe, letting kids know we're all looking for that yellow brick road. We're all trying to find it. I'm proud of you, Big C, with Big C Sports, bringing that angle to the universe, letting people know, and even ourselves, how to keep following the yellow brick road. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bandini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm proud of the Detroit Pistons today. They hired Dwayne Casey, the former head coach of the Toronto Raptors.
Yes.
Won 59 games last year, won the Eastern Division in the NBA, wasn't good enough to keep his job.
Wow.
But he goes down the road to the Motor City. I'm thinking about a 4 or 5 hour drive from Toronto to Detroit, an area that he's used to and that he knows the surrounding area. Detroit is a city where they're trying to revitalize downtown. They're trying to bring back that bad boy image. They built the new Papa John's Arena downtown 2 seasons ago, Charlton. Dwayne Casey is a good fit. He has 3 solid players on his base. He brings that mentality from Toronto to Detroit, Charlton, and builds a winner. The city will love him forever.
I really think you're right on that, Big C. Congratulations, Golden State Warriors. All of Northern California having vibranium parties all over the sports universe. And every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage all on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.